All right. Welcome back to another edition of Build Your Legacy podcast. Bill, how are you, man?
I'm good. You doing all right?
I can't complain. You know, getting through the dog days of the start of the year.
That's right.
You know, those New Year's resolutions are starting to wear on you, all those things.
Starting to give up on a few of them.
Well, you know, you got to start some of them before you can give up.
That's
on
right.
them.
Good point. Yeah, that normally just flies by me too. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. You know, New Year, same me, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're off to a fast start this year. You know, as far as growth within our organization, we're excited about the things that are coming down the pipe. Some different initiatives I'm sure people have seen in the news, things like that with SIAA as a whole.
Right.
But you know, excited to keep the year rolling and get on here again with you today to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, what's that?
The diversification of a book of business.
Oh, there you go.
So, no, you know,
spread the love.
Yeah, spread. Hey, well said, right? Everybody love everybody.
Yeah,
that's Ted Lasso for you or something, right?
Yeah, it should be.
No, you know, we've been out, you know, with some of the things that have transpired over the last several months within our industry. We've been talking to a number of existing agencies that we have seen have been very engaged with and heavy with their business with one particular carrier.
Yeah, we see that a lot.
Yeah, and so kind of wanted to get on here because part of what we do for members is help them build, you know, the most valuable asset they're ever going to own. And a big piece of that is diversifying your book of business, right? And I know it's something you preach within our organization, but kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit for agency owners out there as to why it should be a focus of what you're doing as you're growing, really with the focus on how it creates long-term value for your business.
That's the beauty of what we do and being independent.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you really are putting that emphasis in with diversifying is we're independent agents. We help independent agents. Mm-hmm. Part of being independent is representing multiple carriers to help clients.
Yes.
And so what better word than diversify it?
You know, diversification, it's easy to focus on the premium and the carrier side.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And you want strong partners, and you create strong partnerships by growing and winning with multiple partners, not just one. Right.
Yeah.
And so the last thing you want to do is become so heavily involved with an individual carrier to where your other partners in your business feel like they are secondhand.
Yeah. And everybody kind of has their ups and their downs, you know, and certainly when you diversify, you still got to have a good amount of business with each person.
Correct.
You can't diversify so much where you have nothing with anybody.
Right.
You know, but you don't have to ride the ups and downs as much because if you are focused on one person and they turn and they're in a downward spiral, what do?
You're held captive, right? You know, that company in particular dictates your success.
Right. And dictates your time at that point too, because if they're starting to go down, you can't write new business at that point probably.
Right.
You're looking at it going, all right, now I just got to figure out how to save the clients that are here and maybe have to move them there.
It's kind of the old adage of, you know, when someone's down, you're plugging leaks in the ship, you know, and just pulling one peg out, running across, putting it on the other side.
Yeah.
And water's going to start coming in over there.
Yeah.
Right. You know, whereas to your point, if you're diversified, you're not as, you know, I'd say vulnerable to the swings of the market.
Well, that's right. Well, because I do think if you are too vulnerable and you only have one market or you are really, really heavy with one, you don't have the relationships with the others.
Yeah.
To get them doing anything for you when you need them.
Correct.
You're like, well, they didn't do anything for you when we needed you. So why should we do something now you need us all of a sudden?
They don't feel the love.
Yeah,
right?
They don't.
They can feel jaded, I guess is the best way to put it.
Sure.
But the other side to it too, I mean, there's the market side, but part of this is you're building equity, right?
Yeah.
You're building the value of your asset. And the more you become tied in with just a single carrier, you're more than likely shrinking your pool of potential buyers or people that you want to perpetuate to.
Yep.
And it can dictate your value. And even in some instances, if you're looking, if someone who wants to buy you in the future or wants to partner with you, perpetuate whatever it might be, if they don't already have an existing relationship there, if that carrier doesn't want to work with them, it can really tank the value you've built.
Yeah.
Right. And so the other side of that diversification is it makes you more attractive as an agency as a whole, as an entity as a whole.
Yeah. And I'll flip it from your comment and also say it should make you more attractive to potential employees, to potential producers that want to come work for you as well. Point. Because if you only have one thing to offer them, or you're like, hey, we've got a few carriers, but this one, that's who we do business with. And that's pretty much exclusively who we do business with. Man, that person's got to look at it and be like, well, do I want to come work there?
We employ a number of producers at SIA.
Right.
Do they all do the exact same thing?
No, I mean, let's hope not. But no, the answer is no, they don't.
Well, and to your point on employees, and this is one thing I tell prospective members all the time is, not everybody's going to be like you. Not everybody has the same interests as you.
That's right.
Not everybody has the same connections, the same, funnels, the same opportunities. And so you want that diversification to help diversify your business, but to develop, and matriculate people in the industry as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to your point is we may have somebody doing construction, another doing wholesale, another doing agriculture. Well, all those could be different carriers at any point in time. Could be multiple carriers in each different segment. Mm-hmm. Or just personal versus commercial are different, carriers in different times.
And the other side, tying back to the market piece you talked about, and this is fast forwarding again to kind of an exit strategy, perpetuation, or selling, depending on where the market is at that time and what that carrier's doing. Right. We're coming out of a harder market than we've seen recently. If you're tied in with one company that is on the downswing, again, that's going to affect your value. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into this, and now your value is being determined by something other than your success.
You're being graded on that.
Correct.
Look, there's things that happen too. We've seen different carriers that have pulled out of certain lines. Mm-hmm. We've seen different carriers that have been acquired and sold. And so I do think those are things, to your point, if you're that one and if you are for sale at that specific time, well, you may have to think again, like, well, maybe I'm not for sale anymore. And I got to put more work in, transition my book somewhere else before I can be sold to be worth anything.
Correct. That timeline is changed, right?
Yeah.
And which I see often, people say, hey, I'm ready to leave in 2 years, and 7 years later, they're still there toiling away because of things really outside of their control.
That's right.
So we've talked a lot about the book diversification in the carrier style, right? Diversifying across multiple carriers, but you can also diversify your book within the lines of business that you're writing.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one thing, that's important, for whether you're a commercially focused agency, personal lines focused agency, having diversification in risk you insure and clients that you have on the books.
We talked about all the time, helping personal lines agents move to commercial lines. You could write personal lines all in one area and then need to diversify to a different area.
Correct.
Again, to your point of commercial lines, it could be you start out small business, Main Street America type stuff, and then you start going, okay, well, maybe now I'm in the construction world or the wholesale world. So
you just don't want to find yourself in a position to where you're too reliant on one line of business or one geographical area, whatever that might be. You want to have that diversification. In the other kind of side within that is you want to have diversification as far as the revenue your clients are generating, right? You don't want to ever find yourself to where you've got a disproportionate amount of revenue off of a very small handful of clients, because that then creates a whole nother piece when it comes to the long-term valuation.
Yeah, it's your valuation,
or even, for those agencies that aren't wanting to sell, if you've got a large chunk of revenue helping fund your business and that client sells their business, and you're losing a substantial chunk, it's going to affect your ability to employ people, pay your people, your investments in your business, and it's tough to make those up.
Yeah,
right?
And we're seeing that now in the private equity world. Everywhere is buying up things. So it could be a HVAC contractor.
Yeah.
Or street and road person that's getting bought by private equity, and you had that client, and now that client's not a client anymore.
Right, because it's going to that pre-existing relationship for that larger entity that acquired them.
Yeah, so, maybe you get lucky, but chances are you're not keeping it.
Correct. And so, I think that's one thing within a lot of the agencies that I talk to, right? Is making sure you're diversified. I mean, again, this is the most valuable asset you're ever going to own. And so you want to make sure you're putting yourself in the position to maximize that value, both today in sustaining your business and continuing to grow, but when it comes to the future of perpetuating, selling, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I think the one thing too that needs to be said too is the carriers don't mind this. They like this. I mean, there is that fine line where they're going to look at you and be like, I want everything, but they really don't want everything. They really want you to be successful, be stable.
Mm-hmm.
And that way they're not the only carrier that you're looking to trying to cram everything down their throat. That just doesn't work for them.
Well, I remember a commercial from when I was a young kid of, a guy banging a square peg into a round hole, right? When you become over reliant on one company in particular, to your point, you're cramming everything in there. That's going to affect your profitability. It's going to affect your retention.
Yeah.
It's going to affect your relationship with that carrier.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And to your point earlier, you don't need everybody. You don't need 105 companies with $75,000 in each one, right? But you want diversification across your book of business. And, I think sometimes having 6 good quality companies is just as good as having 22.
Yeah.
And you want to strengthen those relationships. You want to continually grow with those carriers because that's going to help create stability in the organization as a whole.
And it helps the relationship. There's not that friction point of, well, you're not doing this for me and I need you to do this for me. And, they really going to look at you and be like, go find somebody else to do it that does what you want them to do. And if you only have one person, that's the conversation you're having, unfortunately, is like, I need you to do it. I'm begging you to do it. And it's like, man, hold on, find somebody else.
Find someone that's the right fit.
Yeah.
Right. And share the love, as you said.
Yeah. Well, look, and you said it earlier too, and we've talked about profit sharing, is the carriers know what they're good at. Most of them. Now, I'm not saying they don't venture off sometimes, but most of them are good and they know what they're doing. They've got the data. You want to do what you can to stay profitable.
Correct.
So if we look at it, if you'll diversify, you've got more buckets to potentially get money from.
Yes.
Because we still are in the insurance business. Losses happen. They're going to happen.
That's what we have insurance for.
You cannot make profit sharing with every single company every single year. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Or people wouldn't be buying insurance because, to your point, they wouldn't have losses.
Right.
People have losses. That's what we're here for. That's what the insurance company's there for. So if you go back to the profit sharing episode, the bigger you get, I mean, it helps. But I also argue that, to your point, diversification, if you've got more buckets, let's say 5 or 6, like you said, not 100 of them.
Right.
Then you have that opportunity to make money. You could have bad losses with 1 or 2 of them and still have 4 or 5 here that you can make profit sharing from.
Well, I mean, let's look at an insurance carrier, right? Their goal is to operate for profit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They do not insure every single house on every single street in a community.
That's right.
Right? They spread their risk. As an agency owner, you should be doing the same thing.
Yeah, good point.
Because to your point, losses happen, and there's times where we simply can't control it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and it's a freak thing, and that's what we're here for. Is when our neighbors have a bad day, their risk is secure, and it puts them back into the position they were prior to that event.
Yep.
And if you've got your risk spread instead of everything being in that one bucket, when your neighbor has that total loss, well, you're still operating, you're still eligible, you're still earning contingency with 4 of the other ones, right? And so I think that's an important piece when it comes to the long-term sustainability of your business and the long-term trajectory of growth.
It makes this agency more stable. It makes it where you can do more things. You're worth more later. I mean, there's all sorts of perks to this.
Yeah, I mean, you want your agency to be on the upward trend, right? The last thing you want to see is the peaks and the valleys.
Yeah, or the yo-yo.
Yeah. So, I mean, the diversification helps you accomplish that. And most importantly, when you're looking at the long-term, value of your business, that's key.
Yep, I agree. Again, this is a win-win. Some carriers will look at it and maybe try to argue and debate. Maybe that's a chat feature they need to hit us up and let us know.
Let's have the conversation.
Yeah, or let's bring them here in the room. But I will argue being independent is the best way to be. And with that comes diversification. You still need to have credible volume with everybody in there. But to your point, you don't need to have $2 million with somebody and $50,000 with everybody else.
Correct.
So, but maybe some of our insurance carrier partners will challenge us.
And we're more than welcome, as you said. Let's bring them in the room and put them in the hot seat.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Awesome, man.
Well, I think we've hit this one. Yeah,
good. I think we're good on it, man.
So everybody knows, write business with multiple carriers, right?
Yeah, be independent.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you got any topics you want us to discuss, any questions, feel free to reach out to us and make sure you hit that like, subscribe button and all those good things. As Bill would say, hit all those buttons below us.
That's right. That's right. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us over a topic recommendation at podcast@siaofnc.com. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed our newest episode. See you next week.